All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Bunny Girl Senpai, Season 1, Episode 10.
Okay, Nodoka.
Nodoka.
Freaky Friday, body switching, your name, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And Sakuta, you are about to open the thing that Mai specifically told you, don't open this thing.
Yeah.
And you went there immediately. And you made sure that Nodoka was out of the way because she's bathing,
I literally was like, I am really confused as to what shirt I should wear, because every once in a while when I'm wearing, choosing a shirt to wear for the show, my instincts just say, wear this. I'm like, okay, I will never question these instincts and I'll just do it. And I think my instincts were entirely based on that, of Sakuta, you might get the ora if you...
Foot to face.
Foot to face. And I know
Repeat
you like it
necessary,
usually.
But too much
But there might be some
thing.
words attached to the foot and the face, so...
Or maybe the foot's going to go somewhere else. But
maybe, instead, what this is going to be is a series of rapid punches to the heart with regards to why does Mai not want Sakuta to open that drawer, because it might have something to do with something beyond just the, well, I don't want you to see it, but it's the, no, I really can't have you seeing this.
Right, because we would hope
it could
that
open up a new can of worms or something, maybe with regards to the family, maybe with regards to just Mai and his relationship in general, which is why maybe there wasn't necessarily a conversation surrounding this with Nodoka.
Right.
Where it was Nodoka wouldn't even see it as a thing, whatever is in there, as a thing that is okay.
Right. Mai also has growth that basically needs to happen here, even though it is Nodoka's arc, because they're connected, they're sisters, and
that's why the body swap happens with them too, because they're both going to get something out of this.
Exactly.
So, let's find out what. And y'all, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. All right, that's the end of Nodoka's arc.
Yep.
All right.
Here we go.
I very much liked the simplicity of the resolution. It was one that felt natural.
Someone's just needing to talk things out.
Yeah, the thing with the letters being something that was, ultimately just a, hey, yeah, I really would have preferred that you didn't look into that. And maybe a bit of that slap was just a, well, also, you forced this to happen. But hey, yeah, he kind of did get rewarded in a lot of ways by this, because it did lead to the perfect conclusion of where she needed something beyond just the words of, this guy here, to convince her that, she had basically a reason to keep going. And I really, really liked that it came to that, the obvious kind of plot convenience that there was a thing that was, directly set up to be this thing.
That he knew about at the right time. And all that
exactly.
Stuff.
That's all fine, whatever. But I love that it was the letters. The letters are the perfect tie-in to the past, because they're in essence a nostalgic thing. They're attached to a point where they were innocent.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's a great way to put it. Because with the whole idea of child actors or child stars or whatever you want to call it, right? That's something where they have to grow up a lot faster than normal kids, right? And that is a painful price to pay, right?
Very much so.
Mai responded better to it than Nodoka did.
A lot more. Yeah.
Now, she is also older, so it makes sense that she would be further along in that. But she also just in general responded a bit better.
Yep.
Nodoka, as a result of that, has issues with her current situation, right? So, yeah, having the letters from when she looked up to Mai, right? When there was no pain associated with it, right? Because she hadn't been forced to try and be like a little mini Mai yet.
Right.
And Mai hadn't needed to compete with her yet, right? It was just a simple, hey, you've got a sister. Yeah. Happy little surprise, right?
Right.
And she adores you.
Yes.
She thinks you're the coolest. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's as simple as that.
Simple as that.
And yeah, I love how it basically gives potentially some extra perspective on why Mai was able to be so successful. Because she also talked about the pressure and the stress of it. I basically was just working and sleeping, as a little kid, right? That's got to be incredibly difficult. And the idea that she got to get these letters from her sister, it was like, go for it, One-chan, That's huge.
It's huge.
That's huge. So
I just really love the idea of the reconciliation being necessary through the vehicle of the letters, but the letters weren't the thing that made them snap back to their original places.
Right. It was the point when she actually said, I don't want to be you.
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah, and then we had the
Yeah.
visceral, like, it sounded like a rubber band breaking after being stretched too far.
Yeah, right. It wasn't just something
really
where they both, like, blink
violent
and then all of a sudden their consciousnesses are swapped again. It's like the bodies had actually been, like, transformed.
Yeah, it
which
was... Yeah,
I love because it communicates more of... It communicates to me more of a torturous effect, right?
Yeah.
Because there's seeing things from another person's perspective, but then there's actually like, I want to be that person. You know, I will change myself to be that person.
Right.
As painful as it is, right?
Yeah, and while there's the, the classic body swap shenanigans of that whole, comedic bit, I loved that they brought up the one thing that I thought would have been kind of interesting to go into as just like a, who knows, maybe, is that when they swapped, it makes sense that Nodoka wants to be Mai, right?
Yeah.
But is this just for the comedic gags of, oh, well, they swapped?
And we did 2 Futubas last arc, so we can't do 2
So we're not going to
Mais.
do that here.
But
But what if maybe Mai, at the very slightest little bit, the very littlest bit, doesn't want all this pressure? Doesn't want to be the one that everyone needs to be perfect.
doesn't
What if
want
that's
to be
exhausting?
in a proxy war with her sister.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to be with Sakuta.
Okay, let's not get crazy here.
Yeah.
Come on. Sakuta and Mai are the best thing about this show by a landslide. Their interactions are so golden. So I very much like that at the very least she was gracious about the letters.
Yeah.
But it does feel like a thing of where, because she showed up at that time, she might have known that this would happen.
And that might have been why she didn't comment on it.
Exactly.
And it almost gave me a sense that, like, it might have been something where there was an off-screen conversation that Sakuta and her had about it. Because when she shows up, he knows that she's there. Now, it might have been that he
might have just heard the door open.
The door open or the floor creak, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But, like, if this were to be coordinated,
It worked really well.
It worked really well.
Yeah.
So.
Now, this episode kind of fulfilled 2 different purposes, though. We concluded the arc, but we very much set up the next one.
We did.
And it was a bit clunky.
Yes, it was very obvious that that's what was happening.
It was very obvious that this is what was happening.
Let's get into family stuff now.
Right.
We're on the topic, so.
Yeah, but the topic could have been brought up a bit earlier because of the whole dynamic of, my mother is psycho, texts me 50 times a day, and all kinds of stuff there.
Oh boy!
And it's like you have no idea what this is like, Sakuta. You didn't have to deal with this with your
overly
parents.
involved parents. It's like, no, I had the opposite.
I had the opposite problem.
Like, me and Kaida are on our own.
And
like,
they kind of.
I'm a high schooler.
Right. Yeah. This is something.
Taking care of
this
my
is something,
middle schooler sister.
Yeah.
Issues.
Yeah. This is something that in anime, unfortunately, this is just a blasé, like, cliche of, the parents just don't exist.
Right.
So
really long business trip.
Right. We don't need to write them in.
One of them died, the other one's gone. You know,
that's another set of dialogue, character interactions. That's just time. We just don't want to write that. Let's write them in school.
And we need more wholesome parents in anime because when it happens, it's wonderful. Like, you remember the dad in Anohana?
Oh my god!
Right? Like, he doesn't take up much screen time, but I am so glad that he's there. Right?
I'm so glad he was there.
And now apparently we're getting into whatever this situation is here with Sakuta's parents.
So let's talk about this really quickly here, because I really do like the conclusion for the arc with Nodoka, but it was something that I kind of saw how it was going to end, like the minute the arc was introduced.
You know that's the kind of things that need to happen, and then it's just, let's see it actually happen, and let's see how far they're going to go with the whole thing of, like, is Mai actually a better Nodoka?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and they
how do they resolve that?
Yeah, they briefly went into that, and I like that they did, so that we got the pain of, now my mother, I got to see you get the approval that I always wanted.
Right. She's never smiled at me like that before.
Right.
Yeah.
But that all happened, and it just was a thing. So with what they're setting up for this year, and that the next episode is called Kaida Quest.
And I'm very glad that you appreciated Kaida before now.
I gotta say, I love Kaida, but the thing I've been raring and in some ways worried about up until now was that her puberty syndrome situation felt the most easy to explain with real life implications.
Oh, sure.
Is that, she has cuts and bruises and things just appearing on her.
Right.
How did I get these?
If this wasn't puberty syndrome, I wonder what that would be because of. Cyberbullying.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have never seen anything like that before in real life.
Yeah. And oh boy, imagine Sakuta trying to deal with that situation. Also, if Sakuta felt little bit emotionally distant from his parents, this might explain why.
Okay. So let's get into the exposition here a little bit. His mother had to be hospitalized
because she couldn't handle Kaida's puberty syndrome.
This. Now, okay. Let me talk here.
Yeah,
You've seen this show. So, let me talk here. If she had to be hospitalized because of this, and she couldn't handle it, I understand why she couldn't handle it. But the fact that not only did she have to be hospitalized, but they had to live in a different place because of this. I don't think Sakuta's just magically got more, resilience than the mother.
Probably not.
Because I don't think it has anything to do with the mother just caring 5-10 times more about Kaida than Sakuta. Sakuta obviously cares about her, but what I think this is, in a lot of ways, is this is a thing of where everyone has to deal with their own stuff.
Sure.
And the unfortunate reality of a situation where it just doesn't seem to go away, except it did. And this is the part that's really
they're not
weird
living there
here.
anymore. Not living with the parents.
Now, what's weird here is Kaida's never once in the show come up to Sakuta and been like, it happened again,
That's true.
So it's not happening anymore.
That's true.
Why is that? Well, the only thing we know that changed about their whole dynamic is that Kaida stopped going out. She stayed at home.
Yep.
But she's not at home right now.
Sure.
She is split up from her folks. That has not changed despite the fact
that the problem has gone away.
The problem has gone away.
Yeah. Now
that is not okay.
Yeah, that's
that is just that alone. That is all just fact. like not that it's not okay, but the situation as I've described it.
Right. Now,
why? Is that Sakuta's decision? Is that the father's decision, for the mother? She can't handle seeing her anymore.
Who knows how bad it got, right? Yeah.
And then how the hell do you think Kaida feels about all this?
Oh, I wonder.
This is the arc I've been waiting for, basically.
This is one of those things where, on the one hand, there are aspects of it that feel kind of meta, Oh,
super meta.
All right, that's an explanation for why they're not with the parents, but then why are they still not with the parents, and things like that. But then it's like, oh, you ever wondered why Kaida had an obsession with her brother? Because he's the only person that she's been able to depend on. Okay.
Well, that was a thing that I for the most part, kind of just accepted from the meta and non-meta perspective.
Right.
But I always just kind of wondered in the back of my mind,
what's the deal with the parents?
Yeah. Why is she living with her brother alone? Never really see the parents.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just kind of accept that.
She just hangs out at home while he goes to school.
Right. But then also the idea that if she's hanging out at school and that kind of is a temporary kind of pseudo solving of the problem in that she had, the puberty syndrome issues and stuff like that. How does this potentially correlate to his?
Oh.
Because a lot of ways, his isn't necessarily resolved either.
No, we just know that there was a hospitalization incident. He got scars all of a sudden.
That seems to be more or less something he caused, because that's why everyone was so like, oh, Sakuta,
right?
Like, you're that boy.
He must have done something. And
And
it very much feels thematically linked in that her puberty syndrome manifested in spontaneous wounds on her body, and then he gets big wounds on his chest.
Big wound, yeah.
And the way it, like, you know, with the whole idea of the wound being on his chest, right? Like, if I were to see that in an action anime, I would think it was because someone basically stood in front of a hit and took a hit for somebody, right?
Yeah, or like he fought something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Something like that, right?
Something that he fought some monster, beheld it in front of him.
But he faced it head on, right?
Yeah, he faced it head on. Yeah, exactly.
Is that because he flipped out and went ape shit on the people that were on the bullies, you know? Is that because he just became sort of he bared her pain as best he could, and then it manifested itself?
You said bared instead of like bore or something that, because
right, it looks like a bear.
It looks like a bear literally took a chunk out of him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yep. Like, who knows? Who's to say? And then as far as the whole situation with the mother not being able to handle it, and it's like, wait, how was Sakuta able to? Well, one, he might not have been able to, but then
that's the thing.
Two,
he doesn't necessarily have to have been. That's why he might have the puberty syndrome issues that he had.
Well,
you know.
Well, but then at the same time, the fact that he got the puberty syndrome issues, it's like, okay, that could actually be something of where, he's equipped enough to be able to actually care for Kaida. Because imagine if Kaida had puberty syndrome start happening, and she had no one that had also had it happen, so no one to believe her or anything like that, right? It makes sense why the mother might start freaking out if all of a sudden her little girl is, having cuts and bruises just, appear, and it's like, where do these come from? I don't know, Mom. It's like, that kind of freak you out.
And then eventually they might even just be like, hey, honey, you can tell us. And then she's saying she's not doing it. That might be where the mom actually snapped.
Right.
Is that she might have actually
she really doesn't trust me or whatever.
Right. Or she might have gotten, and this is where I think things might have gone a little bit, I might go a little bit out on a limb here. There's I have seen this happen, basically, in emotional kind of context here, just to bring it into
taking out the puberty syndrome and
let's just bring this
leaving
into real
behind
life
what it
here.
thematically represents.
When someone is in pain around you, and you can't do anything to help them,
it is awful.
It is horrible. But there are feelings you can have where you begin to resent the person in pain.
That's true.
Because they are causing you pain by being in pain. And this is one of the most like screwed up, scary things about that is that if you don't keep yourself in check, you can cause them more pain.
Oh, sure.
Because you don't keep your response to that pain in check.
And one of the things that is important to understand is that in situations like that, there will be a part of you that starts to resent the person, and that's
what
normal.
I'm saying, yeah.
You need to face that and deal with that, right? But that is something that'll start to happen, right?
Right.
Because it gets all kinds of bad. It gets all kinds of bad in ways that you would not have expected.
Yeah, we're speaking from like personal experience.
Personal experience here.
Yeah. It's very traumatizing.
Yeah.
So I understand the hospitalization aspect, but I really hope they treat it respectfully then, because there's aspects of this of where I'm like, I hope we really get into this. And that's why the exposition felt a little clunky to me, is because I felt like Sakuta was like, I'm not going to talk about that or that or that or that. Like there's these invisible like things that he was dodging with the way he spoke about this to Nodoka.
What's your relationship with your parents? They're my parents,
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel about them? All of the above.
Yeah, it felt very much like Sakuta was like, I don't know you that well, sorry.
Right,
I'm not talking to you about this.
Yeah.
But then when he met with his dad and they had dinner, I immediately felt like, okay.
And the way the dad like bit back and like almost couldn't fully say Kaida's name.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh boy.
I'm really excited for this next arc.
And isn't it like the
I-
perfect one to do if there were to be some kind of final arc or something? Like,
Well, like we've still got a few episodes.
how many
left.
episodes are
I think
left?
there's 13.
Can't remember. Is it
and then
13
there's
or 12?
there's also a movie.
oh yes, there is the
There's
movie.
13
yeah.
and a movie. So
Yeah, right.
so,
13
so
and a
we're
movie.
definitely getting at least one more arc after this one
Possibly, yeah.
from at least the movie. You know?
Oh, right. Yeah.
From at least the movie.
I'm actually, because I haven't seen the movie. I've seen the show, but I haven't seen the movie. I'm very curious to see what the movie covers.
Yeah, I feel like what we'll get is 11 and 12 to be Kaeda,
okay.
and then Sakuta will be blended into things at episode 12, and then
Sure.
13 will be the Sakuta kind of big episode.
Yeah, and I feel like that's been a because I feel like as a whole, looking at this show, you know, because
it's pretty formulaic.
well, oh sure, yeah, but as far as like the weakest arcs of all the girls, I would say Koga is probably the weakest,
and then this one's probably the second.
This one's
weakest, I
probably
would
the
say.
second weakest, yeah. But I feel like the Koga arc is an example of how of something that the show kind of stops doing after that, of having an arc just for one person.
Right.
Because with the first arc with Mai and Sakuta, it's both introducing Sakuta, but then also Mai, and so it's, you know, and Sakuta's growing through the arc, and it's great stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then Koga, it's really just Koga, right? And then with Futaba, it's just Futaba, but it's two Futabas. So it's, you know, it's a nice sort of workaround on that, and it's only the 2 episodes.
Right, but also the Futaba stuff brings in Kunimi in a very interesting way that I thought he kind of needed.
Sure.
In order to be
beyond
more
just
respected as a character.
right, rather than
'Cause
just a caricature little,
Right, because I kind of
potato
joked
that's
about
there.
him as being a potato, but that arc really basically showed that he was our potato.
That's right.
He was a good,
Exactly.
he was a good boy, wholesome potato, and that was fantastic. But yeah, this arc was really good at blending a lot of the things of the other characters.
Right. Because you've got 2 characters growing over the course of it. And if anything, I would have liked an additional episode for this arc.
Maybe.
Just to go like more in depth into things and really have the pain get brought up and dredged up, and
Because it was resolved rather conveniently.
it was resolved rather quickly. Like the fact that Nodoka was able to just be like, okay, I'm gonna make mom happy, but by doing it my way.
the mom got off a little bit
Mom
easy
got off
here.
super easy.
And this is a little bit of something where I would say there's a lot less maybe respect for parents in America, just in general. Like there's a lot more of like a you're my parent, I should try to please you, and like that's not as much of a thing, I would say.
In America it's more like
cultural.
Fuck the parents, you know, like
18, fight, go your own way.
row, fight the power, you know, like
slay queen, you know, like it's
if anything that can become a bit
it can get a bit toxic, but but what I really liked about this here was the way Mai basically brought in a new perspective into this was that, hey, I think your mother is really worried about you. Yeah. She is not a great parent.
Right. And
don't try and conflate the two by me saying that just because she's worried about you means she's a great parent.
Right.
And then Sakuta brings up the idea of,
no parent will
be perfect,
and they won't be upfront with their child about the ways that they mess up, because
not necessarily,
because they're completely shooting from the hip most of the time anyways, right? And so they don't necessarily know what's working and what's not working.
And that felt like the really cool lead in from this arc thematically
into
what the Sakuta kind of Kaeda, their whole family situation is going to be in the next arc.
Because it shows what his understanding of parenting is like, but then also, as far as Nodoka's situation, that I feel like was a way to make it like short and sweet, you know, with the resolution with her mother, is that, oh no, we straight up went back to fighting, so now I'm staying with
that's
Mai.
not just suddenly resolved.
Yeah, the
which
mother,
is good. I like that.
If anything, the mother got off easy in that she wasn't addressed this arc, not fully gone into.
It's not the kid's responsibility to fix the mom.
Nope.
That's a really good message here.
Yep. It's just we reconciled, you know, as siblings, and now we can help each other as best we can, right? But I'm moving on.
But she is moving on, and this is a very, very good lesson. I have seen personally extreme toxicity where the parents put exorbitant amounts of responsibility on the kids to basically solve the parents' problems. And it gets, I mean, really disgusting. So
just the sound of it is disgusting.
Yeah,
I can't imagine how it would get even more disgusting.
It gets gross, dude. I don't want to go into the details. But I liked that was the way in which they then leaned on each other. Can I stay at your place for a while? Yeah. Absolutely. You'll move in with me for a bit, because boundaries.
It's a temporary thing, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. But this is a cool way to also showcase to her mother that, I am actually capable, independent of you.
And in fact,
I prefer it.
I'd prefer it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, good stuff. I have a lot of confidence in Notika's ability to move forward here. I also like that they casually basically said, hey, in this next arc, Notika might be a commentator or slightly just involved in a scene, because if you go to interact with Mai at her place, you know, she'll be there.
Right.
Which is a nice way to kind of make the cast feel like they're more connected, especially since we don't have that many episodes left.
Yes, that is one of the things that I really appreciate in this, because since it follows some of the formulas and structures of a harem type show.
We'll go with this route for this girl, and this route for this girl.
Exactly, and there's always some excuse for Sakuta to not actually be directly with Mai, so they can't have the lovey-dovey time and all that stuff, you know, whatever. And then
That's
the whole
best
thing
part of the show. You know?
Right, exactly, yeah. You can't give the audience what they want, otherwise they'll get spoiled for everything else. But
That's true.
And then we have the whole thing here of, because of the body swapping, alteration, whatever, now it's public knowledge that apparently Mai has a boyfriend, and that causes complications.
Thank you for reminding me about that. I almost forgot about that. So that is a plot conflict.
Right.
That is also another setup as to why Mai won't be involved as much in the Kaeda arc.
Sure.
Because she has to then put on a bit of a display thing. They need to basically
gift a bunch
keep
of
their
subs.
relationship on the down low a little bit. Yeah. No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. But it is kind of weird about how we have seen literal examples of this in the streamer world of like,
and that's much less bad than it gets in Japan with idol culture and all that stuff. And
she's not even an idol,
right?
Like she's not even.
She's an actress, so it's that like close to that realm of things. But
it is
that. I'll just straight up say that whole bit of the idol banter on the stage that makes me so uncomfortable. Like,
that was so like,
oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like the fact that it was played up as a, hey, this is part of the lore and what have you,
the jokes and all
jokes
that stuff.
and something that they probably scripted a little bit.
Oh, totally. Yeah, absolutely.
Or for the most part, yeah.
They make it look like it's improv, but yeah.
Right. But it's that kind of shit, basically. That
idols don't sweat.
That just makes me go like, oh, I extremely get reviled at the idea of the how do they say this?
All right,
I don't want to go too into this.
I'll take a hot take on it.
Go for it.
In this show about getting honest with your own psyche.
Yeah.
It's a steaming pile of shit. Like, because
can you expound upon that? Because what you're saying could be conflated into other things.
Yeah. Right. It's. I don't know. I feel like I don't fully understand enough to really talk about it too much. But
wait. What are you talking about?
The whole idol culture.
You just said this show though.
No. Okay. All right.
Say what you mean a little bit.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm not saying anything about this show.
Okay.
No. Shows like this. The idea that getting into the idea of the human psyche and being understanding of yourself and your own boundaries and limits and things like that, that's important, right? Stories like this exist because it resonates with us, right? We know that kind of stuff is true and it's important to get into, right? But when you idolize somebody, it gets all kinds of messy.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
And specifically propagating that for people to idolize people and the very dangerous kind of parasocial relationships that can create. That is that's messed up.
Right. Here's an example about this that's really simple. Really simple. Is when you're in a situation where you wake up basically and the first kind of way you're basically going to get your happy hit in the morning is you go and watch your favorite content creator online doing their thing.
Sure.
It's exactly what I do basically.
Yeah.
I'm just using my life as an example here.
It's great fun.
It's great fun, but it's also like a good way to just have some regularity and to get a little bit of that human connection thing.
Sure.
Especially in a pandemic situation where we're all localized in our different areas and stuff. But if I needed to basically have that in order to feel fulfilled as a person,
Right.
that's really
It's unhealthy.
scary.
It's unhealthy. It's
yeah.
having things that are a nice boost, pick me up, whatever,
Yeah.
right? You know,
Yeah,
entertainment
absolutely.
to put a smile on your face. Awesome. Go for it.
Go for it.
You don't want to become dependent on those things though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's
We all know what happens
Yeah.
when we get too dependent on a social connection in
Well-
general, and then we all get those ripped away from us in the the physical sense because of you
Sure.
know quarantine and all that. So
Toga, I would say, is also another good example.
sure.
Now that's a much more regular, easy to see kind of dynamic because it's dealing with actual physical people she interacts with.
True.
Right? But even more so if it's strictly one-sided, like it literally cannot go both ways.
Yeah.
Because, the person is behind a screen or on stage or whatever, right? Then that gets that escalates it.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, we haven't got any issues with that yet, but the tabloid kind of clickbait article, kind of celeb gossip kind of stuff like that exists to make money off of these types of people, basically.
And it works.
It works so well. Like, here's an example that I think is like ridiculous that it's such a big deal, is the idea of like what was it?
Keeping Up with the Kardashians?
No. Because I don't understand that at all. But the royal family of like England specifically.
Oh, no, it's sports anime. It's like
Who cares?
yeah. Well,
But
yeah,
like
I mean, reality
get
TV.
right. No, but I get it that people care. But it's like
But to the levels that people can
to
can
the
really care.
levels.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
just-
this stuff that we're saying, most people know this, right? Like
they know this.
They know this, but the
the
nasty,
idea that there's millions and millions and millions and millions of people that
Right.
are
the
in
nasty
some
thing
ways-
about it is that it can be insidious, and you
Yeah.
don't necessarily realize that it's happening.
Exactly.
And that's why people need to talk about it, so that way there can be that reminder, so that way, not that you can't enjoy your favorite,
Yeah.
if you wanna
Yeah.
get into the
We can
drama
help
of the
each
royal
other.
wedding, go for it.
Help
go
each
for
other.
it.
Yeah.
But just make sure to keep that healthy, distance,
Boundary.
guard your heart, boundaries, all that stuff, right?
Yeah. Anyhow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Kaida arc.
Kaida arc, I'm super excited about
Oh,
this. So,
boy.
thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there. And all this comes with Discord access. You can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general. And also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
Yes, we stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.